breaking free. Yeah, we're breaking free. No oppression is out for liberty. Breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts. We're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No oppression is out for liberty. Breaking free, yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No oppression is out for liberty. Breaking free, yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. We're claiming our land, yeah.
Hey, Chase.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us, man. This is exciting.
Absolutely. I'm always happy to be on and talking about freedom. So Freedom Uncut seems like the right place to be tonight.
I love hearing. Thanks so much for saying that. I'm a big fan and, really excited about having you and showcasing what a great candidate you are for all the people that are watching. Hopefully we draw in a great crowd and we have a little lively session here. You've been busy though. You're up helping in the Carolinas, I believe.
Yeah, I'm in Greenville right now. We were just earlier today in Asheville, kind of looking at some of the storm damage, speaking with some first responders out there, also delivering some water, much needed supplies, obviously, that people need in the wake of the hurricane. And so we got to just get a little bit of a glimpse of what so many really hardworking folks are going through to help their neighbors, help out their community, and start the repairing from the storm. You know, the initial response is still recovery, rescue, and then be rebuilding. Really good to get out and meet a few of those folks, let them know that we care about them a lot. Hopefully spread the awareness that there are people helping their neighbors right now survive this storm. And if you want to help out with that, I recommend looking up the Cajun Navy. They're an amazing organization that's right now on the ground in North Carolina, doing their best to rescue anybody that might need rescuing, provide help to those in need. Like literally, you saw somebody pull up to drop off some supplies, and they mentioned that they had a tree fall in their yard. And the first thing the member of the Cajun Navy asked is, well, if you got anybody to help you get rid of that tree in your front yard, we can help you with that. Just seeing that kind of spirit of volunteerism is a really inspiring thing to see in the wake of a natural disaster like Helene, which nobody in this region was really expecting. Being up in the mountains, you don't really expect floods to be something you worry about so much. So this is kind of a new experience for a lot of people in this region of the country.
Being a transplant Floridian, I know of the Cajun Navy, and the famous fact about them is that I think they rescued a few hundred people more than the Coast Guard did during Ian, and so I mean they're incredible, great organization. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out. Do you want to introduce yourself to everybody? I'm sure everybody knows you by now, but please, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, my name's Chase Oliver. I'm a 39-year-old resident of Atlanta who just happens to be the 2024 Libertarian candidate for President of the United States in this election, providing that alternative to voters who are sick and tired of being sick and tired of the two-party system. I'm a longtime activist, started out in the anti-war space, and then have moved on to things like immigrant rights activism, criminal justice and police accountability activism, and have also run for office a few times as a libertarian. And I'm always happy to be spreading that message and showing that there's a true alternative on the ballot for voters who want to fight for freedom, as opposed to fighting to control one group or another based on whatever their personal values are, which is kind of how the Republicans and Democrats do it.
Speaking of other campaigns, I noticed Herschel Walker didn't show up tonight either, huh?
Yeah, so I ran for Senate in 2022. The reason why you're referencing that there is because I got to have a one-on-one debate with the sitting U.S. Senator because the Republican was too chicken to get on a debate stage with a Libertarian. I think very rightfully so. Herschel Walker knew that if he got on a debate stage with me, he would get very quickly exposed for being quite out of its depth in terms of policy. And so I was happy to take on Senator Warnock one-on-one in that debate, and it forced the runoff in that 2022 Senate race in Georgia, which was the most expensive Senate race in, I think, United States history. And I upended it and caused a runoff with about $20,000. And the feat beneath me and just the will to provide that alternative to voters. So we punch above our weight, and we're going to do what we can to spread the message of liberty at the presidential level this year.
I know you occasionally see us in your comments, and you interact with us, and that's great, and everything. So I'm sure you've seen me mouthing off before, but I've very publicly said that I think everybody's afraid to debate you. Kudos to Jill Stein and Randall Terry for actually showing up and debating you. It seems like that they might be the only two politicians in America that are willing to debate you.
Yeah, well, we're actually going to have another one of those free and equal debates coming up later this month, October the 23rd in LA. And so I'm looking forward to being out there for that. And of course, Jill Stein, I think, is going to definitely participate, as is Randall Terry. I think there's a couple of other candidates who have also been invited, namely Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Kamala Harris challenged Donald Trump to a debate on October the 23rd. He said he's not going to do it. I'm thinking, Kamala Harris is free on the 23rd. Why doesn't she just come out and debate us in LA?
Absolutely. I think it's just it's the craziest thing that with what an important job it is that there's not weekly debates, especially with the access to technology. I feel like you're in my feed every night doing a podcast or a show or a live stream of some sort. Why can't one week they debate with you economics, the next week it's foreign policy? It seems to me like if you want to make the most important decisions in the world every day for 4+ years, that you should be willing to debate as much as possible.
Yeah, that is very much true. And I would like to see a more robust debate series going forward. Of course, a more inclusive debate series. And, I'm also, not for nothing, you mentioned making the most important decisions. I'm running actually to try to ensure that the president doesn't have to make the most important decisions of your life and actually stays out of it as much as possible. But your point is well taken that we deserve to have a better series of debates than what we've gotten. I think it's highly ironic that the VP debate last night, which is by no means like a stellar debate, it was like some sort of groundbreaking debate, but because of just how terrible debates with Donald Trump and Joe Biden and Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, these debates have been in the last 4 years, people are like, oh, this seems like a breath of fresh air. And it's because it's two people that you really hadn't seen on a national debate stage before, because we've had the same people running for office over and over again at the national level. So it certainly would have been a much better debate if Mike Termott had been on the debate stage. That would have really kind of been a game changer, because instead of kind of two big government FDR style liberals arguing on stage about who's going to do it better, we would have had an actual libertarian on stage saying, actually, the best solution is to get the government out of it altogether.
You were named the most influential libertarian by Rolling Stone magazine. How did that come about?
Well, that it originally came about with that 2022 Senate race when I caused the runoff. That's when they had written a piece around about me, about how I had upended the entire race as a libertarian with relatively few resources compared to my opponents. And because of that, I had become the libertarian that election cycle that had gotten the most name recognition, that had been seen the most in the media. And so that's why they dubbed me the most influential libertarian, because I had the most influence over the 2022 race by forcing that runoff. It's a great thing to have as your byline. As soon as they made that, I was like, well, that's a quote we can throw on anything, I take it, it's a great thing that someone has said that about me. But by no means do I let that get to my ego or anything. There's a lot of influential libertarians, of which I suppose I'm one of many.
Did you get a look at the list? Do you know if I even made the list at all?
I didn't really ask them for the total list there, but what I will say is you're on my personal list of libertarians that I find to be influential. Really, I don't know why they decided to use that term for me when they were just really causing a runoff, but I think we need to have let's make our own list of top 50 libertarians each year, and then we can all fight about who's the real libertarian at the top. That sounds like
let's do that in between your election and when you take office. Okay, we'll sit down and do that. Maybe a few drinks or something. Time. If I didn't beat Toad though, just tell me. Okay, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Okay, so
you're higher up.
Thank you. All love, Toad. Just kidding, man. Tell me about the campaign. Like I said, you're out there everywhere, and I've seen you just doing so many things: parades, meetings, the personal interactions. I really enjoy watching. Then all the online stuff. So how's the campaign going?
Campaign's been going great. We've been staying very, very busy. We've just actually had an awesome weekend of fundraising and getting ourselves geared up for this last month of the Get Out the Vote effort. Of course, We always need help. So if folks want to donate to the cause, they can always do that as we push these last 30 days. But we've been trying to maintain our energy that we've had during the primary. I traveled all 50 states during the primary process in order to win the nomination. We've been trying to get myself and Mike to as many states as possible, particularly those states where ballot access is kind of a concern, where we want to make sure we're hitting threshold numbers to continue ballot access or major party status in states. I'm really proud of our campaign, considering there's a lot of headwinds we've been facing, both internally and externally, that have really been a challenge for this campaign, but we have risen above it. I'm so proud of my campaign team. And this is certainly not me tooting my own horn and not talking about how great I am, it's somehow great we, the campaign, are. And that's certainly more than just me. And I'm really proud of all the effort we have put into this. We're libertarians. We're used to being underfunded. We're used to having to punch above our weight and be feisty and be punchy. And I think we're doing that here. I think, we're starting to see real kind of recognition on the street. I can just honestly tell you, this week I was in Springfield, Ohio, and at church, I went to a church Sunday morning, and somebody came up to me right after the service. They said, I thought that was you. I told my wife, maybe I'm crazy, but I think that's the Libertarian candidate for president who's over in that pew over there. That's Chase Oliver. And we've started to getting recognized, as a campaign. When I was at the Minnesota State Fair and other places, we're getting recognized as we're just walking down the street. And so if we're getting that kind of mainstream kind of notice, I think that's a good thing. It shows that we're still building our momentum going forward. And I'll be honest, a lot of this happened post Labor Day, because pre-Labor Day, we had another very, very well-funded, very well-known, quote unquote, independent candidate in that space. They take up a lot of oxygen, and that was Robert Kennedy. But as soon as he endorsed Trump, we've seen a lot of new enthusiasm in our campaign as people realize we're the true viable alternative to the two-party system. If you're dissatisfied with Republicans and Democrats, well, Chase is on. I'm on the ballot in 47 states. So pretty much anywhere in this country, you can either vote for me on your ballot or you can write me in the remaining states. We are poising ourselves to be the best alternative to the two-party system. And we just hope that the voters can see that. We're trying to get our name out there as much as possible. And in the meantime, we're also trying to do things like highlighting the good work that first responders are doing in the wake of a hurricane. We're trying to stay on top of what's going on in the news every minute so that we can provide a libertarian perspective what's going on. So it's been an adventure, and it's been a long time coming. As of November the 5th, election day, I will have been campaigning for basically 3 years straight. So, that last 30 days is in sight. We're hitting that last sprint to the finish line.
That's awesome. Dr. Belay says I'm on the list. So thank you, Dr. Belay. Lots of cool people showing up to support you here, Chase. We have Ryan Woodcraft, who was on last night, huge supporter of yours. He was bare knuckles brawling all weekend with some guys. I had to pull him out of there. And we were talking, I think Ryan's got one of the most winnable races. We had Michael White on Monday. I mean, they're very winnable races. Fans of yours, you've done great things for them. What do you think about the down ballot, as they call them, races? Are we stronger than ever? How are we doing?
Well, I think there's great potential for a lot of candidates across the country. I don't know. This is my first time being the head of a ticket, so I can't really speculate as to how much stronger or better it is than 2020 or 2016. But what I can tell you is we have a lot of amazing candidates. You just mentioned two of them. I'm so impressed with Ryan. When I first met Ryan, I told him that when I ran for Senate, I knocked on 3,000 doors and kind of challenged him to do the same. He said, I can do that. I said, okay, well, get it done. And I thought, I'm going to be visiting soon. Oh, I thought I'd be maybe helping him finish that out. He's actually I think he's doubled that number. And so he's been fantastic at going and meeting voters. And then Michael White, I just can't say enough good things about. He's a fantastic human being. He's a wonderful libertarian candidate. He's in a two-way race. It's very winnable in Arkansas. I recommend that folks check him out. And if they have the ability to throw some ducats in his bucket, do that. And help support him. But as much as people like to tout my U.S. Senate debate with Senator Warnock, I think another debate masterclass is if you look up when Michael White ran for Congress in Arkansas in 2022 in a three-way debate. And he just seemed like the only sensible person on stage, including the moderators. And so I think I encourage folks to check that out. Support those candidates. And if folks want to see a lot of great down ballot candidates to support, they can go to my website, votechaseoliver.com. You go there, there's an endorsement tab. It's not for people to endorse me. It's for me to endorse those other candidates who are running across the country to highlight the work they're doing. We have A lot of great folks up there, and there's a lot of winnable races. I encourage you to get out and support your local libertarians wherever you are. But thank you for doing the job of just trying to highlight a couple of amazing of those local candidates running at the state legislature or county commission level, because that's the lifeblood of our party. When they get elected, they're going to put libertarian governance into action, and that's going to create proof of concept for us to continue to build our bench, elect libertarians at higher and higher levels. And so I'm really excited about what we can do at the local level, while also, being a national party that's putting the national news and the national issues forward. With our candidates for president, senate, governor across the country. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what libertarian wins we can have this November in cities and neighborhoods and towns and across the country. And yeah, get out there and support folks like Michael White and Ryan Woodcraft for sure.
Kind of mentioned previous years. Have you talked to any of the previous candidates or gotten any advice from prominent libertarians that's helped you along the way here?
Well, when I first started running, one of the first things I did was I made sure that I booked a dinner with Joe Jorgensen. That was the very beginning of this whole process, because I kind of wanted to know what I would be getting into if I decided to run for president. And she gave me a lot of great advice. She's a wonderful person. And then there's been a lot of libertarians across the movement that I've always kind of reached out to, and used as sounding board, or people that I can get some advice from. There's a lot of great candidates. I mean, starting at the top of my campaign, our campaign chair, our campaign manager, Steve Dosbach, who's been a national party chair. He's headed up a couple of national campaigns. He's somebody that I've always looked to as somebody, hey, like, how has it been done before? Is there a way we can improve that and do it better this time? He's been an amazing person to have that kind of information. But even folks like Spike Cohen has always been somebody that I've always looked to as how can we make this more impactful? And there are a lot of down ticket candidates. Folks like Don Rainwater, who ran for governor in Indiana. He is probably, I'll say it right now, the best person I've ever seen at getting donation dollars out of people's pockets. I joke all the time that, metaphorically, he's flipping me upside down and shaking the quarters out of my pocket to get campaign donations. But aside from that, he's just a genuine human being. So there's candidates all across the spectrum. A lot of these candidates who have run for governor before are really good sources of information because they've run a statewide campaign. Folks like Rick Stewart in Iowa, who ran for governor of Iowa after traveling to every county in Iowa. That's kind of what gave me the inspiration to travel to every state in the country running for president. Yeah, this is definitely a campaign that likes to hear from other people.
You said, you've basically been on the road for 3 years. I mean, not just campaigning, but like literally on the road for 3 years. You're like the Eagles of politics. You're just like this endless tour everywhere. I jokingly asked you last time why you didn't go to the 51st state, the Ukraine. But because I mean, you literally have been everywhere. What's been the most surprising thing, maybe the most exciting thing, the most uplifting thing? I mean, what have you seen since you got the nomination that like really, kind of made you think, or, just, surprised you?
A lot of it is getting to talk to regular people outside the libertarian bubble. I think when we're running for the nomination, a lot of times we're going from like Libertarian Party state convention to state convention. We're mostly, we're trying to get the 1,000 delegates. We're trying to earn their support. And so we get kind of stuck in the echo chamber a little bit. Post nomination, I think the most refreshing thing for me has been to kind of break out of that echo chamber, to hear from the non-libertarian voter, just the regular folks walking around, raising their families, doing their thing. And it gives you fresh perspective, and it helps hone your message on how to best communicate libertarian values outward and not necessarily just inward, which is what we do a lot of the time. We have debate and discourse and like who's the real libertarian kind of discussions. But once you have the nomination, you're not just communicating only to those libertarians. You're communicating to millions and millions of voters that you want them to become libertarian. You want them to be brought into the movement. You want them to grow into the ideas of the philosophy of liberty, non-aggression, all these things that we find to be excellent. And so I think what has been most refreshing to me is, after a year of running for the nomination, spending these last few months just kind of in the real America, so to speak. That's not just at a political convention or a political event like Freedom Fest or things like that, but just meeting people at state fairs and county fairs and those kinds of events where you're just one-on-oneing with regular American folks, hearing their story and you hear a very diverse set of stories. You hear all kinds of issues and all kinds of life experiences, but you also get these commonalities. Like you get the commonality of like, most people love their family, they love their community, they want to see what's best, not just for them, but for the other people around them. That is kind of a universal value, even though each person's lived experience might be different depending on what region of the country you're in, or what faith background you have, or your gender expression, sexual orientation, or your nationality, whatever it is. You have that unique experience, but then there's those kind of universal things that most human beings find in common. So like that's been really refreshing, because when you're talking to a parent who's concerned about finding a good school for their kids, or who want to raise their family in security, or who want to see more job prospects for themselves, or who want to become an entrepreneur. When you meet these people and they get to hear the message of liberty, maybe for the first time ever, you get to see it kind of click in their eyes. And that's one of the most rewarding moments ever, is when you kind of bring somebody into the ideas of libertarianism of like, hey, maybe we need less government here, not more government. Maybe we're being controlled too much by too many powerful interests, and we need to take the power out of their hands and put it back in our hands. That stuff really rings true to a lot of people. It's been kind of the honor of my life to be a presidential candidate and to represent those values across the country.
What media have you enjoyed doing, or maybe that surprised you, or if you want to give a shout out to who you think is doing it right, and understands the libertarian message, and how to deal with a libertarian candidate?
Well, I do like, I've been on a few great shows. This one is one of them. But what I
Thank
really,
you.
a group I'd like to shout out that maybe doesn't get shouted out enough is the local news crews. I think oftentimes we think that there's just the national news agencies, but what there really is there's a whole lot of local news agencies that have really hardworking staffs and people that are ready to listen to you if you reach out to them. And those are the most actually trusted name in media. Like, people do not care about the national media. They don't trust the national media. They do trust their local newsman, who like maybe lives in the neighborhood or lives in the area. And those folks have been incredibly gracious to us. We've been really blessed. My media team is fantastic, and they've done a great job of reaching out to people. But we've been really lucky that in a lot of these markets we travel to, we have at least one or two interviews with the local news agencies that post our interviews in full on their website. They post either the full interview or a great portion of it on their television show, and we get a lot of local notice. I can tell you for a fact that I have been noticed in Ohio, because I've done a radio show in Marion. So when folks heard that I was coming back to Ohio, they said, "Oh, I heard about you because you were on the radio in a local radio show." Or in Indianapolis, we did a local news group, and I got tons of people saying, "Hey, I just saw you on the television. It's great," from a lot of Hoosiers out there. So I think that's one of the areas where, as libertarian candidates, we maybe need to tap that resource a little bit more, because we know traditional mainstream national media is going to ignore us. They do that because they are kind of bought and paid for by the two-party system. But local news, they're often looking for great content, looking for great guests. And if you're willing to reach out to them, you're going to get a great response, and they have a pretty good audience.
One of the things that I've been talking about for a while is, I think everyone that's MAGA connects to "Make America Great Again" slogan in their own way. And in my view, though, like, your platform embraces those ideals more than any other candidate. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think, "Make America Great Again" is a slogan, and I think it can mean different things to different people. I think my platform provides is the best chance for us to have prosperity and growth in the long term. That it's not just about short term, I'm going to give you this, which costs trillions of dollars of tax money and causes more deficits. But it's like, what can we do to make our country powerful and strong economically in the long run, not just for 2 years, but for like 20 years? And if you look at our platform of like balancing the budget, getting, spending under control so we can stop the rise in inflation, fixing the immigration crisis, abolishing the Department of Education and freeing up education to the states and localities. There's a lot in that platform that will set our country up for success in the long term and the short term, frankly. But will be, if we implement these changes now, in 20 years, we're going to have a country that is much more powerful, much more free, much more prosperous, and able to not have to tax people to death. That is what I think will make America great. If I was to be asked what will make America great, and I think if a lot of voters took a blind taste test to my platform, to Trump's platform, to Harris's platform, and they just didn't know whose was whose, they would often, I think, come across with my platform as the most preferred. Scientific way for me to prove that right here and right now. But I just think, we actually have solid proposals. We have a fantastic policy team who's helped to put that together, in addition to myself and my running mate, Mike Vermont, former economist of over 20 years. And so when we talk about things like the economy, we have a great team with us.
Same with MAHA, I think they're calling it, Make America Healthy Again. Do you think you're the strongest candidate for people that believe in that vision? And specifically, Ryan, who runs one of your online things here, great guy, wanted me to ask you about food security and kind of the stuff that Kennedy's talking about. And again, we think you're probably the strongest on this as well.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think it's funny that Kennedy thought that Make America Healthy Again would be headed up by the guy who's loves, hamburgers and hot dogs, and once said that he doesn't like to work out because the human body only has a finite amount of energy. He doesn't want to waste that working out. I don't think big government policies are what's going to secure our food. I don't think it's what's going to have us eating healthier. Government are the people who tried to define ketchup as a vegetable for the purposes of like school lunches. And so I think it's really important for us to recognize that it's going to be not just the EPA or some big government agency that's just going to clean everything up. Because if it was, these things would already be done. The EPA has been around since the 1970s. Just getting the right people in, that's what you hear from Robert Kennedy is, we just need to get the right people in, control the government, to control your decision making, but the right people to do that. I would argue we need a completely different way of thinking about governance altogether. But I'm somebody who, I want to see healthy, nutritious food. And I think the best way to have that is more transparency as to what people are eating, but also remove barriers to things like all milk, barriers to allow new entry space into the agricultural space as opposed to having a stranglehold by agribusiness. There's a lot of things we can do to improve the quality of our food, becoming more educated about the food we're putting into our body, understanding those implications. Let's use corn, for instance. All right, let's just go with corn. And I by no means created this. I first heard this from Penn Jillette years and years ago, but
I love
corn.
that show.
But corn, right? We subsidize corn with billions and billions of dollars of your taxpayer money to subsidize the growth of corn. So more farmers grow more corn. What this does is it makes corn artificially cheap because you've now increased the supply because you've been subsidizing it. So what do? Well, they need a way to store that corn and use it. So they turn it into corn syrup. Because of this, it's now artificially cheaper than sugar would be because you've subsidized the corn that's turned into corn syrup. And they put it in everything. They still use it to sweeten everything. Sodas, candy, everything really. And it's not healthy for us. I think we know that corn syrup is not healthy for us. And so now Democrats think corn syrup isn't healthy for us. We should tax sugary sodas so people drink less corn syrup, so people consume less corn syrup. My idea is instead of trying to tax it, how about we stop subsidizing the corn? Stop making it artificially cheap to grow corn. So farmers would actually diversify, grow more things. Corn would actually have its own equilibrium price that would be more expensive than sugar. We'd use cane sugar to sweeten more things, which is actually a healthier way to do that, or fruit sugars or others. But what we've seen right now from Republicans and Democrats is let's take taxpayer money to subsidize the corn, grow it, let's make it cheap, let's make it really unhealthy for everybody to consume. And now that that's unhealthy, let's also then tax you on the other end. So they're taxing you to subsidize it and they're taxing you to drink it. How about you just stop taxing us? And then we'll just decide for ourselves what we consume in our own body. I think that's a good deal.
So I want to jump to rapid fire. We got a couple of things I want to do with that. I know you're a busy guy and I want to get the maximum amount of your platform out. And I think this is a good way of doing it. But I think it's also a good test for, someone running for office because, you're running for future leader of the free world. So, you're going to be making decisions. And we want, someone that's quick, sharp, decisive, right? So I don't give you the questions ahead of time, no prep, no cheat sheet. It's just all off the cuff. You've done it before and you did great at it. So I know this is going to be easy for you. We call this one Liberty Level. Some of my friends have started nicknaming it True or Argue, but the whole idea here is just tell me, do you strongly agree, strongly disagree, or somewhere in the middle? So first category, federal income tax. The federal income tax should be abolished to increase individual economic freedom.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I wish it were easier to get it done. But yes, I would agree with that. Taxation is in fact theft.
The president should eliminate taxes on capital gains to promote investment.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I think we need to quit picking, having the government rob Peter to pay Paul. We need to quit stealing from our entrepreneurs who actually create jobs in the marketplace.
Corporate tax. The corporate tax rate should be reduced to 0 to incentivize entrepreneurship and job growth.
Yeah, and I right now would be fighting to get it as close to 0 as possible, I were president, recognizing with Republicans and Democrats, you might not get it that way, but I argue, move all subsidies, all giveaways, all deductions of any business and just flatten the tax code out as much as humanly possible, because that's how you create true competition, true free market entrepreneurship without the government being in the way.
Tax incentives for specific industries create an unfair playing field and should be abolished.
100%. And I think the biggest area where you see this is in the area of energy, where you see the fact that we subsidize coal, oil, natural gas more than any other. And of course, we tie the hands of nuclear so much that it becomes less viable than it should be. Untie the hands of energy and let a free market really decide. And I think we'll have a better, more clean powered future.
Property rights. Property owners should have complete control over their land without government interference.
Yep. So long as you're not doing anything on that land that harms the civil liberties of another person, it should not be the government's business at all what you do on that property. So yeah, basically, your property is your property. Don't do it. Don't use it to hurt anybody, and you should be good to go doing literally whatever the hell you want to do on your property. It ain't mine, and it ain't for me to judge. I'm not going to yuck your yum. You do whatever you want.
Property taxes violate the principle of private ownership and should be abolished.
Yeah, I would say that, right now that property taxes basically ensure that nobody is a true owner of their property. And that's kind of wrong. The only property tax idea I've ever heard, ever, that has made any kind of sense is that it should be only a one-time thing. It should never be again. It shouldn't have to be continually pay property taxes, if at all. So yeah, get rid of it. You should be able to own your property, and you don't truly own it if you have to keep paying the tax man every year.
Free market healthcare. The government should not mandate healthcare coverage for individuals or businesses.
No, they shouldn't.
A president should privatize Medicare and Medicaid.
Yes, you need to move us away from the government and towards a more private system. And we have charity mutual aid to help those who are truly in need.
The government should not regulate or restrict access to alternative medical treatments.
Of course they shouldn't. Your body, your choice.
The FDA control over approval of drugs and treatment should be abolished.
Yes, abolish the FDA completely.
A free market healthcare system would better serve individuals without government interference.
Yes, lower cost, higher quality of care. Absolutely.
Free speech. The federal government should not regulate or limit free speech on social media platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. They shouldn't be pressuring social media firms at all. That should be the firm's choice, not the government's choice or the government's coercion or pressure.
Hate speech laws violate the First Amendment and should be abolished.
I was about to say that sounded really, really weird at the beginning there. I'm glad you fixed that. Yeah, we have the First Amendment to protect the most controversial speech. You can say what you want to say. Say it to my face, though.
I skipped over laws. You'd think 4 letters, like I would not mess up that word, but that was the word that got me, Chase. National defense and foreign policy. The United States should not engage in foreign wars unless directly attacked.
100%, absolutely.
The president should prioritize reducing the military budget to focus on defense, not intervention.
Yes, you could cut half of the Pentagon, you would still not lose out on any ability to defend ourselves.
The government should not provide foreign aid, leaving it to private charities.
Absolutely. Right now with foreign aid, you're taking money out of the poorest people in America and the richest country on earth, and you're giving it to the richest people in the poorest countries on earth.
One of the things I always talk about when people talk about where you are on the positions, like you and I agree on like almost everything. And I don't think I've ever showed you this, but I did one of those political tests, and I redid it when Harris got into the race. But you and I are neighbors, man. Like we're right next to each other, very, very far away from all the scary authoritarians. So thanks for having my back over there. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Folks should go to isidewith.com and take the test and see how close they are to me. To anybody in the party who says I'm not a real libertarian, see how much closer I am to you than anyone else.
That's what this is. This is I side with, and I just added the names. What's that?
So I'm quite the outlier compared to the others.
Yeah, you're hanging down there with me and Ancapistan. Would you consider yourself an ANCAP or close to it, or?
I'm a minarchist, so I'm not an anarchist, though I have a lot of friends that are, and I am a bold capitalist, so I guess I'm a min cap. I guess would be how you would describe it, a minarchist capitalist.
We were like, I think like 98% on one of them or something like that. So, yeah. So
that 2%, the 2% is just the question: should government exist at all?
Yeah, exactly. So it would be funny if figure that out. But so here's the other one. This one is a new one. I had to make this for Woodcraft because he'd done the other one before. So this one I'm calling blank the government. Okay. And,
okay.
This one's a fill in the blank, but again, keep it short. Let's go rapid fire. You're quick on your toes. Show off your skills here. First category is surveillance and privacy. The government should not conduct mass surveillance on private blank.
Individuals.
Law enforcement should require a warrant to access private
Information of any kind.
The use of surveillance technology should be restricted to protect
Our national security only from foreign invasion.
right to bear arms. Individuals should have the right to own without any government restrictions any type of
Firearm or weapon they choose.
Can I have a tank? I've been asking for a tank for Christmas since I was like 5.
Hey, if you can afford one, and so long as you don't use it in an offensive capacity against somebody who doesn't, who's innocent, you can do whatever you want. Go shoot shells in your backyard if you want to. I don't care.
The government should not impose background checks for the purchase of
Anything.
Federal laws that limit the ownership of firearms violate
The Constitution and our inherent human right to self-defense.
national defense and foreign policy. U.S. foreign policy should focus solely on
Protecting the sovereignty of the United States and the security of its people.
the government should not provide blank to foreign governments.
Weapons, aid, or money from the taxpayer.
A non-interventionist foreign policy would enhance national what?
Security and the opinion of the world of the United States.
Free market economies. The government should not interfere in
Peaceful and private business.
economic autonomy is best achieved by removing government-imposed
Rules and regulations.
energy policy. The government should not regulate energy production or
Pick winners and losers in the marketplace.
renewable energy projects should be funded by
Private energy companies.
Excellent. I'm trying to go fast because I know you got to go. So I'm doing my best here. So because you're a VIP, the VIPest of VIPs, I made my a new game for you. They say Biden got 80 something million votes, 81 million votes. So I'm thinking you need 88 million votes to win. So I'm trying to figure out how to get you 88 million votes. And it's not 88 million people that have blocked me on Twitter because I don't think that'll work. This game is called the 88 million vote pyramid. Okay. What I'm going to do is we're mapping out the road to 88 million votes, and I'm going to give you the voter demographic and their key concerns. And then you've got 30 seconds or less to tell me why you're the best choice for that demographic. So you're speaking directly to whatever demographic I mentioned. Okay.
Gotcha.
So, and this is the last one. And I know you said you're tight, but make sure you give me a little bit of a warning because I got one thing I want to do after this. Okay. My first voter demographic is homeowners. There's approximately 110 million homeowners that are registered to vote. 79% of them turn up to vote. So this is a big group. Their top issues are property taxes, crime, inflation, and the economy.
Yeah, well, if you're a homeowner, first and foremost, we want to create a stable economy so that we continue to have a growing economy that doesn't require, basically, we want to see an economy that allows your investment in a home to grow and flourish. But also, we want to make sure that when you're buying a home, you're able to do so in a neighborhood that's safe and secure. Here's why the Libertarian Party is the best choice for homeowners. First off, we're going to lower the cost of buying a new home if you want to become a new homeowner, because we're actually going to stop the rise of cost of living. We support ending things like burdensome zoning requirements in cities across America that make it more difficult to get low income or multi-unit housing build that creates that entryway into becoming your first time homeowner. But really, if we want to address crime in this country, we need to address the fact that government creates much of the scenarios of crime through their war on drugs and other prohibition practices that are actually creating the crime that's in your neighborhood. The best way to lower the cost or to lower the impact of crime is to actually have true criminal justice reform, holding police accountable, but also ending things like the drug war. So we're not creating this black market for cartels to create violence in your neighborhood. But what can I tell you as a homeowner? We're not going to be all willy-nilly with your interest rates based on 6 guys who walk into a room and decide these things to the Fed. And ultimately, we want to improve entrepreneurship and the ability for more people to have access to capital so they can buy their first home, create their American dream. And for me, the best thing the government can do is quit trying to insert itself in the housing market, making houses more expensive.
Really good. The mic cut out a little bit, which is a shame because that was really good. The next one is voters 65 and older, and about 60 million are registered. And the 2020 turnout for them was about 76%, which I think is about the highest I found. Their top issues are Social Security, healthcare, taxes, and inflation. Go.
Well, as far as Social Security, my parents, they live on a fixed income. They're living on Social Security right now. My Social Security plan will not harm the benefits that you're currently receiving right now as someone who's over the age of 65. But what it will be is realistic and knowing that younger workers like myself aren't going to get Social Security. And so we're going to sunset this program so that your kids and your grandkids have real potential to save for retirement for themselves without at all harming the benefits you're currently receiving. As far as taxes, we're going to fight to keep taxes low because once we balance the budget, we're going to continue cutting the budget as much as possible so we can continue to cut taxation out of your life at the federal level as much as possible. And again, with dealing with inflation, the number one way to stop inflation is to balance our federal budget, quit printing trillions of dollars of thin air and devalues the dollar right now to the tune of $9.8 billion a day is being added to the deficit. Libertarians would reverse course, help keep your taxes low, and ultimately allow you as an elderly person being able to retire, but making sure that your kids and your grandkids have a much more secure and prosperous retirement.
Excellent. Well, for this next one, I mentioned Terry, who is my better half on all of these. She's the brains behind the operation, expert researcher, wonderful person, has put up with me for over probably 115 episodes of these. And she's an expert in schools. So she wants to ask the school question. So adding Terry to the stage. Hi, Terry.
Hi, Terry.
I think
you're
you're
muted.
muted still, Terry.
I always forget that. This is the education, and you can still go as fast as you want. Parents who want to say in school activities. The registered voters are approximately 10 million, estimated based on the broader parents category. 2020 voter turnout 73%, which is also pretty high. Top issues for 2024 campaign: curriculum transparency and parental input, school safety and policies, school choice and vouchers, student rights and freedoms, and quality of education. Go.
Yeah, so what we want to see is a true free market of education. It starts with eliminating the Department of Education at the federal level because we've not seen really, for the billions of dollars we've invested in the Department of Education, we haven't seen the reading and writing scores increase. We want to, we want to fully eliminate the department and block grant that money back to the states, creating 50 laboratories of innovation across the country. And I would argue from the bully pulpit that the best thing we could do there is to actually fund the student and not the system directly. Instead of funding a centralized school system, you're actually allocating money for each and every student and their parents to decide what school they want to go to. This gives them the transparency they look for in curriculum. This gives them the ability to choose the school that fits the values in the curriculum they want their child to go to. This allows them to tailor make the education. Say their parent or their child wants to go to a STEM school or performing arts school. This gives you the ability to have that mobility. And ultimately, it also provides opportunities for parents who want to see maybe becoming a homeschool parent, funding the student of the system, you make that more economically viable. All of these things increase the transparency, the quality of education, and the control that parents have of the curriculum that their children are exposed to, the values that their children are being educated. And in the long run, this kind of free market approach will create the broadest path for success for the most number of students because it's going to fix the cracks that currently students fall through in the public education system. And so have a true free market of education where parents and students are in control of the curriculum. Not only is this better for parents and students, it's also better for the educators. Many educators they go to school, they want to be a great teacher, just like they had a great teacher growing up, and they get stuck in a broken school system. And so this education freedom platform is not only better for the students and parents, but it's also actually better.
Very well done.
Well, thank you very much. I get that. I get questions about education quite a bit. And it's one you got to be on your toes on. Parents accept nothing less.
It's very important to the parents out there. There's a lot going on in the schools right now, and I'm sure they love your answers.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you very much for asking the question.
Thanks for doing the comments and everything. We appreciate you. She's the best. So the next one is first-time voters. Not a huge group, but it was a group I was very excited about your candidacy for because I think you appeal very well to that age group. So we're talking 18 to 24, and about 15 million are registered, and just over half, 7.7 million, voted in 2020. Top issues for them are education, jobs, healthcare, and social justice.
Absolutely. I'll answer this one. I'll let you know. You told me to give you kind of a 2-minute warning. This will be that 2-minute warning. But let me just say, young first-time voters, if you're looking for somebody who's actually wanting to listen to you, you want to elect somebody who's under the age of 40. I am somebody who's actually can still remember what it was like just getting out of school, just getting started in the economy, all the energy and vigor and enthusiasm in the world, but seeing how difficult things are when the rubber meets the road. I'm somebody who's not just fighting for this next 2 years, I'm fighting for the next 20 or 40 years, that you can grow up in a world that's more free and more prosperous than the world we live in today. And of course, one of the greatest issues that matter to me as a young person, I think matters to many young people across this country, is the issues of war and peace. And I'm a true anti-interventionist candidate who's tired of seeing our way of life being exported around the world with bombs and bullets and drones. I think it's more important for us to be exporting our values via free trade, voluntary exchange, direct diplomacy. And as we're seeing in college campuses across the country, there are voters who are yearning for a peace candidate. I will be that peace candidate. But in addition to that, I'm going to be a candidate that thinks about the long run, because I'm not 80 years old. I'm not only concerned about one election, I'm concerned about our future of our country, because I'm young enough to still, God willing, be living in it for the next 4 or 5 decades. And I know that I have nephews and nieces that are the age of many of these young first time voters. And I want to make sure we have an economy, a country that is free, powerful, and prosperous for them. Because I think, as a millennial, we feel a lot of times that things are harder for us than the previous generation. And we want to make sure that we are doing our best to make sure that generations that follow us are ones that have an easier time finding their peace, finding their prosperity, and finding their place in the world. And I will do everything in my power to do that as a candidate for the United States.
Wrong button. I got something special, and then I got something right after that I want to show you. And so this is probably more special for me than it is for you. But because you're a VIP, I pulled out all the tricks, and I've got a first-time voter, just turned 18, going to be voting in his first election here, and he wants to ask you a question. Chase, I'd like to introduce you to Little Free Junior here. This is my youngest, and he's got a question for you.
How's it going, Chase?
Get a little closer.
Hey, doing pretty good. So what's up?
Other candidates in Congress are pushing to ban TikTok, but for my generation, social media is our way to communicate. What is your take on banning TikTok, and what do you think it could lead to other platform bans and threats to free speech?
So first, I love TikTok. I'm on it right now. You can actually follow me at Chase for Liberty. I'm somebody who thinks it's a really important medium to get out to people. And I'm not going to ban TikTok just because China owns a part of it. The excuse that our government gives to wanting to ban TikTok is that they take our data and will utilize it or abuse it or whatever. But the truth is the government steals our data every single day, and they do all sorts of nefarious things with it. Meta collects all of our data. X collects all of our data. That's just kind of the nature of social media. And so the excuse that, well, it's China that's collecting the data now doesn't really scare me. I think TikTok's an awesome platform. I would fight every single day to keep it free and open. And I don't think it's really the government's place to decide where you, as an individual, decide to post videos of you dancing to songs or whatever it is that people want to do on TikTok, or making viral videos or having informative political commentary, whatever it is. You should be free to do it on whatever platform you, as an individual, choose to do it, and not the government. So if that is a concern of yours, let me just say I hope to earn your vote this November, because I'm probably the most pro TikTok candidate I think of any of the candidates running, and maybe because I'm like 40 years younger than most of the candidates that are running.
Just to let you know, I already decided I'm going to vote for you.
Awesome. Yes, we love it, man. We love it. Look at that. That's a very nice shirt right there. You can get more of those shirts at votechaseoliver.com if you want to free plug out there for your audience. But I really look forward to earning your vote and the vote of a lot of young people across the country. Always, let me just end you with this. Always question authority.
Yeah.
Always be a skeptic. That doesn't mean you always have to be a contrarian. You don't always have to take the contrary point of view. Like if the government says, if the government says don't jump off a bridge, that doesn't mean you need to, but it means you need to question why the government is telling you to do something and what are the narratives that they're trying to pass to you. Always be a skeptic. So if I can impart any wisdom upon you as a young person, always question everything from a place with an open mind.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was fun. That was a proud dad moment. So thanks for taking the time to do that. He wanted to support you. We've been talking about you a lot, and he knows that I'm a supporter, and so we've been going through all of that, knowing that he was going to vote, and so that's been a fun time to walk through that with him his first time. So, do you want to say anything in closing? Where can they donate? Please donate to Chase. I know we're going fast, and we probably should have talked about that for longer, but yeah, where can they donate to you, and what are you trying to do?
Yeah, so you can go to votechaseoliver.com. That is my website, votechaseoliver.com. If you can donate in this last month of get out the vote and making sure we're letting as many people know about the campaign as possible. Think about this: for every $100 you donate, you're helping 15,000 people get an OTT advertisement put onto their streaming platform. So for every $100 you donate, you can get 15,000 impressions upon voters across this country to help bring them out to vote for the Libertarian candidate for president. So go to votechaseoliver.com and donate. You can also become a volunteer. If you want to volunteer, we're going to be doing text banking, phone banking, door knocking, all kinds of get out the vote efforts in this last month. You can sign up there as well and get a lot of resources about the campaign. And of course, you can follow me at Chase for Liberty on all the major platforms. Please do that as well. But yeah, votechaseoliver.com. That's where you want to go to check out the campaign.
Yeah, so I just wanted to thank you again, and I want to show you one thing before we let you go, but I wanted to tell you, and I probably told you parts of this personally, but I wanted to say it while you were here. I couldn't be more excited about you as a candidate and you as a messenger of our message and what we're trying to do, what so many candidates, down the ballot are trying to do, what so many people on social media are trying to do, spread the message of freedom. You're just absolutely awesome at it. When you were back when you first started running, and I was watching you on video, and seeing you out there early in your campaign for the Libertarian nomination, I was so excited, and I said, finally, no disrespect to any of the past candidates, but finally a young candidate with energy and vision and charisma and the ability to just spit out truth nonstop, go on social media, do all this stuff that we've been not great at, and reach the next generation. And people are setting in their ways, like, let's catch them when they're that guy's age, and teach them about why you choosing your life is way better than letting someone else choose your life, right? So I couldn't be more excited about your campaign. You're exactly what the Libertarian Party needs. You're young, you're bold, you're focused, you're precise, you're driven. You're the guy that I've been waiting for, all of these years of voting Libertarian. I've never voted for a Republican or a Democrat for president, and I'm not changing now, and I'm excited to vote for you. And you're an exciting candidate. So please keep doing you. You're absolutely great. And I hope I did a little part here to show the Chase that I know, that I've talked to and hung out with, and give a little piece of that, because you're so good at the messaging. Sometimes I think people don't get to see that you're a great guy, and that interaction with my son, like, that's the you that I know. And I'm really glad that we were able to do some of this tonight and just get to see the real you up in the Carolinas, helping out and doing all this stuff. You're just a really wonderful guy with a big heart, and we agree on a lot of policies. I love the no war stuff. I mean, I love all of that. Your war protest stuff, I just think is epic. And, so we agree a lot, but I really respect you as a person first, and as a human being first. And, so I just wanted to throw that out there and tell you, I'm rooting for you, and anything I can do for you, man, I'm here for you. So,
thank you so much. And that means a lot. I mean, when you're doing this, a lot of times you kind of get disconnected from individual human beings a lot. It's kind of like you're preaching to a message, you're messaging outward. So it's nice to have conversations sometimes, just good conversations. So I appreciate it. Can't wait to have more of these for you after November.
Absolutely. So one last thing. You're so epic that I feel like you needed a Chase anthem, okay? Like a Chase theme song. You're like that big, like you need like your own thing, right? I used AI to do it. I wrote the lyrics myself. I've been doing them mostly joking and parody, but this was a serious effort. So this is not parody. This is a serious effort. So thank you everybody for showing up, but I want to use this to play you out here. I hope you like it. It's kind of fun. So thank you so much, Jason.
It's all a mess. They're fighting wars and causing stress, but some of us got the truth to tell. He's tearing down that war machine hell. He'll steal our freedom, waste our days, but Chase is here to change the ways. He's fighting hard for you and me, dismantling that tyranny. Oh, we're rising up. No war, no fear. bring it